Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. 90 Day Fiance. Loren faces off with Yara to peak drama and tension in new Happily Ever After episode. 90 Day Fiance stars Loren finally confronted Yara after she lied about things to Elizabeth, aka Libby. Yara placed the blame entirely on Loren and Alexei, as well as Libby and Andre, despite being responsible for causing a rift within the group. Fans bashed her heavily for taking her revenge on Libby. Well, it's unfair that the friends and her husband ruined her launch party vibes. However, Yara played nasty in return, sharing hidden details of how Loren and Alexei had ever discussed Libby and Andre during their double date. She showed her cleverness, since she saved Jovi from the chaos. She presented everything in a way that made Loren and Alexei appear villainous to Libby and Andre. Yara approached Elizabeth with Andre's top secret. She told her best friend that she had heard Alexei breaking the news of her husband losing $74,000 in an investment in a Moldovan property. This made Libby shift her light mood to a shaken one. She never heard of the truth, which is a loss before her friends. Elizabeth soon started to doubt her marriage to Andre. Like Yara, Jovi also blamed Alexei for failing to keep Andre's biggest loss to himself. Though many fans on Reddit accused Alexei of a slip of the tongue, Yara should have been a pious lady. She messed with the men and her friends, which was about to backfire. The reality star might have believed she would never be questioned and probably felt she was an innocent soul. In episode 12 of Happily Ever After Season 9, Loren met Yara to have a confrontation in a salon. The former told the latter that she had heard that the latter had passed on her comment on Andre to Elizabeth. Loren has allegedly called Andre a horrible person, which Libby didn't like. Yara totally defended herself, saying she would never do that. Yara acted out, telling Loren that she didn't know what really happened. Her ignorance wasn't much appreciated by fans. She only felt that the screaming and fighting was overwhelming, so she forced herself to leave her own party. The TLC star was eager to move forward with everything, regardless of the outcome. But Loren seemed to be holding a grudge against Yara for what transpired between her and Elizabeth. Yara admitted that she can't in any way spark a feud in her friend group because Jovi would drag her to Louisiana from Miami. After all, she needed to prove to her husband that she had a support system in Florida. Yara shared that she was surely still mad at all of them for ruining her event. She informed Loren that she doesn't remember everything that she said about Andre. She clarified it's Noga who labeled Andre horrible during her yelling. Loren hated how Yara had thrown her under the bus, not as much as Libby's treatment of her. Stay tuned for further updates. The latest episode of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After has fans buzzing, and not just because of the usual relationship struggles that come with cultural clashes, parenting woes, and stubborn personalities. This time, the spotlight shifted to an unexpected face-off between two of the show's most outspoken and fiercely protective women, Loren Brovarnik and Yara Zaya. What started as a girls' night with a side eventing spiraled into a drama-packed showdown that left jaws dropping and friendships in question. Setting the stage, wine, confessions, and subtle shade. The scene kicked off innocently enough. The cast had gathered for a group dinner during a trip that was meant to strengthen bonds, but, as is often the case in the 90-day universe, did the exact opposite. With glasses of wine flowing and conversations shifting from light-hearted to pointed, the women found themselves at a separate table, bonding over motherhood and the unique struggles of being married to men with strong personalities and even stronger opinions. Loren, who has become beloved for her relatable struggles as a mom of 3 and her candidness about Tourette syndrome, began opening up about the challenges of balancing marriage and motherhood. She admitted that at times she felt unsupported by her husband, Alexei, when it came to taking breaks or pursuing moments for herself. Yara, never one to hold back, immediately jumped in. But that's marriage, no? You can't expect everything to be about you when you have kids. Jovi doesn't help much either, but I just deal with it, she said with a smirk, sipping her wine. At first, it seemed like friendly banter, but Loren's expression told a different story. The air stiffened, and the subtle shade was impossible to ignore. Loren stands her ground. Rather than brush it off, Loren leaned in, her tone sharpening. It's not about expecting everything to be about me. It's about being a team. And if Alexei isn't pulling his weight, I'm going to call it out. That doesn't make me selfish, it makes me honest. Yara raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. But you sound like you always complain. Men don't like that. Jovi already says I nag too much, and I've learned sometimes it's easier to just let it go. Maybe you should try that. The comment struck Loren like a slap. Fans watching could practically see her patience evaporate. For Loren, who has always prided herself on speaking up, being told to silence her feelings was not just insulting, but dismissive of her struggles as a mother trying to hold everything together. From passive aggression to full-on showdown. Excuse me. Loren fired back, her voice rising. So, because I refuse to sweep things under the rug, that makes me a nag? Maybe you're fine letting Jovi run off drinking every weekend, but that's not my life. Don't project your situation onto mine. The tension in the room grew thick as the other women, including Angela, Elizabeth, and Kalani, exchanged wide-eyed looks. Yara, however, wasn't about to back down. Loren, you think you are perfect wife, perfect mom, but you cry and complain all the time. I'm just saying maybe the problem is not always Alexei. The words hung heavy in the air. Loren, visibly shaken, set her wine glass down with deliberate calmness. I never said I was perfect, Yara. But at least I don't pretend everything is fine just to look good for Instagram. You want to talk about problems? Maybe look in the mirror. Gasps erupted at the table. Angela muttered, "Oh Lord, here we go," while Elizabeth whispered to Kalani, "This is about to blow." Weaponized. The argument spiraled as the women began dragging personal lives into the mix. Loren brought up Yara's long-standing issues with Jovi's partying and absences, accusing her of covering up marital cracks with flashy designer clothes and vacations. Yara clapped back, suggesting that Loren's real problem was being jealous that Alexei didn't adore the spotlight like she did. You love attention, Loren. Admit it. You like being the one everyone says. Oh, poor Loren. She has so much to handle. At that moment, the divide between the two women was unmistakable. What had started as a clash of perspectives on marriage turned into a deeply personal war of words, fueled by long-brewing tensions and the kind of honesty that cuts too deep. The men get dragged into it. Meanwhile, in the next room, the men, Alexei, Jovi, and the others began noticing the escalating voices. Alexei leaned forward, clearly uncomfortable. That's Loren. She sounds upset. Jovi, chuckling nervously, replied, Well, that's probably because Yara's telling her the truth. His smirk disappeared quickly when Alexei shot him a glare sharp enough to cut glass. Careful, Alexei warned. That's my wife. By the time the men rejoined the women, the confrontation had reached a fever pitch. Yara had crossed her arms in defiance, while Loren, red-faced and emotional, was on the verge of tears but refusing to walk away. The aftermath, no easy resolution. Production eventually stepped in to defuse the situation, urging both women to take a breather. Loren stormed off to the bathroom, followed by Elizabeth, who tried to comfort her. Yara stayed seated, muttering to Angela that she was just being honest, and that Loren couldn't handle it. Later in her confessional, Loren's voice cracked as she admitted, I don't want to fight with Yara, but when someone attacks me as a mom and a wife, I can't just sit there and let it happen. She doesn't know what I go through, and to call me a complainer, that hurt. Yara's confessional, on the other hand, was unapologetic. I like Loren, but she always acts like she's the only one struggling. We all have problems. I tell her the truth, and she makes me the bad guy. Sorry, not sorry. Fans react. Within minutes of the episode airing, social media lit up. Twitter exploded with hashtags like #TeamLoren and #TeamYara, with fans fiercely divided. Some praised Loren for standing up for herself, pointing out how dismissive Yara's comments felt. Others defended Yara, saying she was only trying to push Loren toward resilience rather than constant venting. Memes of Angela's wide-eyed reaction began circulating within hours, cementing the fight as one of the season's most talked-about moments. What this means for the season. The clash between Loren and Yara is far from over. Previews for next week teased more fallout, with Alexei confronting Jovi over his comments and the women struggling to repair the rift. What's clear is that Happily Ever After has found its central drama, and it's no longer just about couples against couples, but friend against friend. The episode reminded viewers of why the franchise thrives: authentic emotions, raw honesty, and the inevitable explosion when two strong personalities collide. Loren versus Yara might just be the face-off that defines the season, leaving fans eager to see whether reconciliation is possible or if the friendship has been fractured beyond repair.